back, everybody, to another saucy episode of Old School New School Comedy Podcast. And I am your shit-talking host, stand-up comedian for 28 years, Christy Miller. And with me in the studio this week, where we are broadcasting from Broadway Comedy Club now. And it's our new home, and I love it here. And this woman that's in the studio with me I've known her for a very long time. I used to do, back in my days of opening for Paul Mooney, I used to do this Caribbean room out in Brooklyn, was it Prospect Heights. It was called Janelle's Caribbean, and a guy named Sherwin XL used to book it. Crazy ass Sherwin. Then the XL should be delusional. Anyways, he's gonna kill me. I love him. But this girl used to be on the show with us, and we got to know each other back then. She's just an amazing woman, and she's now, her and her husband, Jamie Roberts, another super funny comic. They actually used to do Sunday Night Live here at Broadway, a comedy club on Sundays. But they are now the owners of one of the coolest comedy clubs in Manhattan. And it's known as Comedy in Harlem, and it's an amazing club, and I can't wait to go back again. And I just want to introduce you all to Nicky Sunshine.
Hey, boo, hey.
Hey.
I forgot about Janelle's. That was a crazy room. When was that? Was that like 2013 or something? I don't know.
No, it was before then, because I stopped. Noni and I split in 2012. So it was around 2010.
No, it was that long ago?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was right around the time white people started moving to Prospect Heights.
Okay, so 2010, 2009. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, those were the days.
Man. Yeah, those were the good old days.
When I met you, how long were you in the game for?
I guess I was doing comedy since 2005.
Okay.
Yeah, I started sort of kind of doing shows at New York Comedy Club, and then here do you know Julio Ray? The Broads of Broadway?
I remember him. I never really knew him.
Okay, yeah. So we would be at, when the Laugh Factory was there, we did shows there and shows around town.
I'm going to have you move up. Sorry, there's a little, I just want to, and now go ahead and relax and lean back in. It's just rubbing on the lavalier mic. There's technical difficulties here.
Is it okay?
Yep. I just put it behind you now.
Okay, cool. Yes.
So, I never did that show, but I remember that show, Broads of Broadway.
Yeah, Broads of Broadway. That was Linda Belt, April Brucker, Yamanika was in it, Gloria Bigelow. It was a bunch of people. Yeah, it was fun times. He represented for women. He really did. He's the only person that I've known over the years who really went hard for women comics. Yeah. And was like, you guys deal with a lot of shit. I want to help you. And like, he did a lot, like help you get your logos, your EPKs. He really went above and beyond. Do you remember Kevin Bartini?
Oh yeah.
He smacked the hell. That's how I met him.
I'm dead.
He smacked the effing living doo-doo out of Kevin Bartini.
You can curse on the show. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
Good. Kevin probably deserved it.
I don't know. I don't know what happened, but that's how I met him. And I was like, oh, shit. We're smacking people now in comedy clubs? It was insane. I think that was his co-producer.
Probably.
I don't know. But actually, I peed in Kevin Bartini's car once on his seat.
Good for you.
I didn't mean to. We were doing a show up in like Kingston or something, and he gave me a ride, and I had to pee so bad. He picked me up at my house, and it was a long ride. And he's like a neat freak. Like everything in his car, there's no dust, there's no dirt. And I peed a little bit on his seat, and I felt bad about it.
Well, that's what you get.
When
you're paranoid like that, you call your fears on to you.
That's what you get.
That's what you get.
Right.
Whoopsie.
Whoops, I pissed on your seat.
Well,
My bad.
Well, at least he now has proof that there was a vagina in his car.
There you have it. There you have it. Exactly.
I ain't shit. I'm sorry.
And Rich Schultes, do you remember him?
I just did a show with him on May 1st up at Yonkers Comedy.
Oh, really?
He's still crazy.
Yeah, he is crazy. He's definitely
He's the get off my lawn of comics. He really is that. I love him, but he's nuts.
Yeah, everybody I know in comedy is pretty much crazy. madness and mayhem. That was what his common. You know, a fun fact about Rich, that he has 4 brothers and he's the only one that's not mentally retarded.
Are we sure about that?
I knew you were gonna. I set you up for that. I was like, damn, what happened? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it was crazy. But anyway,
it's the water up there,
I guess.
Or the fact that the white gene pool doesn't really go that deep, if you know what I'm saying over there.
Maybe not.
No, it's a shallow pool, darling.
I guess so. But yeah, those were all the old folks from back in the day.
Oh yeah. They're still around.
Seymour Swan.
Hilarious. I've heard of him. I never.
Oh, you never met him? He was at New York Comedy Club for years, and I wonder why won't he do like an anniversary show? That was insane. One time we were at New York Comedy Club, and he ripped Yamanika's wig out of her head.
I'm deceased. Put me in a coffin and just call the pastor because I'm dead.
No, she was pissed because she had it pinned down, and it like the pins dug in her head, and it like made her head bleed, and she was chasing him.
Shit.
She was chasing. They were like running around the club. On 24th Street. You remember Sean McLean? You ever remember him? He was a tall, light-skinned guy, bald-headed. He was a boxer.
Sounds familiar.
Anyway.
I remember I got here in 2005.
Okay.
And I was with Mooney most of the time.
Okay, yeah.
So I didn't really
right.
branch out into the clubs because I was with Mooney.
That's where I saw you the first time. I saw you at Caroline's, and I was like, who the fuck is that? That's the Tina Marie comedy.
That's what he said. Oh, homie, you are the Tina Marie dog. Yeah, he was Tina Marie. I was, what was the other? Nasty Barbie was the other name.
Nasty Barbie.
So hilarious. I remember when Nicole Richie, back in the day, she got caught drunk driving in Pasadena on the 135 or whatever. And she was going backwards on the freeway. Like, she was going the wrong way. And he went on stage one night after I got off, and he goes up and he goes, well, Lionel Richie has his crazy ass daughter. I've got mine.
Wow.
I was laughing so hard I couldn't stop.
Those were the good old days.
I miss him so much.
Yeah. I what was that podcast? If JB Smooth narrated it, and it was Paul Mooney was one of the featured comics where they were talking more about Mooney and more about his dynamic with Richard Pryor. What was it called? Funny My Way or something like that.
Something like that.
It was a big podcast, not a podcast, but it was like a series on Audible. Right. But listening to his story, I found out a lot and know a lot about Mooney, like his background, and also, they put it out there that Richard could have really helped him get opportunities, and he didn't. That's what the podcast put forth.
Well, it wasn't. I mean, that is part of it. There's different layers to that. And Richard could have, and he did. But what Paul would do, and I would yell at him for this, shut your fucking mouth until you get the check, homie. Shit, don't tell him. Because Mooney, he's so outspoken.
Right.
He didn't give a shit. If he didn't like you and you're in a meeting, he would tell you right to your fucking face, you ain't shit. And then they'd be like, we ain't hiring this guy. And it was, Richard went to bat for him, but at the same time, Mooney went to bat for a lot of people also, but at the same time, like as it got worse, as he got older, he would really tell Hollywood how he fucking felt. And I'm like, honey, you gotta just cash the check and then cuss him out. Just stop.
Where did you meet him?
Comedy Store.
Okay.
1995.
Okay.
When I started. I've been there about a week, and I'd seen everybody. I'm like, whatever. In walks Paul Mooney. And when I was a kid, when I was younger, he was on an episode of Harlem. This is why I'm 100 years old over there. And him, Joey Ramone from the Ramones' mom, and a couple other people were on the panel on the Geraldo show. And it was back with the censorship when Tipper Gore was like trying to put the ratings on the albums for the kids and all that shit, right? And all that censorship stuff. And so they were on a panel with it. So he's on there with Joey's mom. She was adorable, by the way, just the cutest thing in the world. And he was talking shit to everybody and speaking his mind. And I remember sitting there watching TV going, I'm going to be that man's best friend one day. And then cut to 8-9 years later, he walks in at the Comedy Store and I almost dropped my soda glass. I'm like, oh my God, it's Paul Mooney. And at the time, Eleanor Kerrigan and I were both waitresses, and she'd been there for a while. I just started there because I wanted to be a comic.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a job as a waitress, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Paul Mooney. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And she goes, yeah, Mooney, we're going to be here all fucking night. He never gets off stage. And she's pissed, you know. She loves him, but she's like, oh, no, we're never going to get to go home. Even though the last call, he's still going to keep going, but you have to stay until the patrons are done. So I walked up to him so nervous, and I said, Christy, if you don't say something now, you're never going to see him again. He's going to be in and out. Because I didn't realize that he was such a I didn't realize at that moment he was such a vital part of the store. Like, he was so integrated. I just assumed he was always in New York or back and forth, and I never really thought of him being at the club, because to me he was such an icon. And I walked up to him and I was like, hi, Mr. Mooney. Okay. And I said something to him to make him laugh, and he goes, okay. And he gives me, because he always liked to slap 5, because, you know, he's in the 70s still.
Okay.
Can
you dig it?
What it is, my blood.
Right.
What up, blood?
Right.
and so we did that. And he goes, I go, are you going on? And he goes, yeah, I'm going on. Come watch. And I was like, okay, because I'd been cut. So I was just, you know, I already did my tip out and all that shit. So I sat in the back of the Comedy Store, and a couple people, I'm screaming in the back. And he gets off saying, oh, honey, I heard you laughing the whole time. And we became instantly best friends at that point.
Wow.
He really took me under his wing like his kid. Like, he used to tell people I was his stepdaughter.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's interesting. That's deep.
Yeah, it was. We just knew we knew each other from like a past life or something. Like, we were so connected. And some of the older comics be like, "Why you? Why did he pick you?" And I'm like, "Because you ain't shit. He loves me. I love him. I don't know. I don't know why he did. It just happens."
I think the show that I saw you on at Caroline's, it was you. I think maybe Robin Montague.
Robin
was
Montague
on the show.
always hosted. She always hosted the show.
Yeah.
And I was the feature, and then Mooney was the headliner.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, crazy ass Robin.
Yeah, Robin. She came to the club a couple months ago, to Comedy in Harlem. And I had gone on and I had done my act, something about, you know, the massage parlor, whatever. And she's like, yeah, Nicky. Because remember, me and Nicky used to hang out in D.C. And we was out there. I mean, she would get more of the guys, but And so a friend of mine, well, the lady there, she was like, oh, yeah, call Robin, because she's your good friend, right? And I was like, I never hung out with that woman. We're like two different, she's like 20, 30 years, like 25 years older than me. I didn't know her in DC. I think she was just joking. And she was like, oh, I thought she was for real.
You know, in a weird way, Robin Montague probably was for real. Some weird parallel universe in that fucking dried up brain from all the coke and alcohol. God bless her. And there's no love lost in that relationship.
Right.
There ain't no love lost. And she's in DC. Good. Bye. And
I was wondering what happened to her, because she was around and then she wasn't.
All her bridges. She's another one of those damaged, because she was a great writer. Robin Montague was a really great writer, and she had what it took to be something in the 90s. And, you know, her husband was, you know, produced the Chris Rock show, and he moved to LA to do the George Lopez show. He wanted her to have his baby and have family and come to LA, and she didn't want to leave New York. She didn't want to have a baby or nothing. She just wanted to stay in New York and do stand-up. So we left her. And married some white woman, and they had kids, and they was happy as shit.
What? Wow. That's deep. I didn't know all that.
Yeah. Oh, honey, I know way too much. I need to shut the fuck up, because I'm going to get banned, canceled.
This is the podcast I want to listen to. Give me the. I'll take a double scoop and pour tea all over it.
Honey, I am the queen of tea, darling. Especially that era.
Right.
And you know, and I always like laugh, because I was like always the white girl that did all the black rooms because of Mooney. Mooney took me to every like Chitlin Circuit type club, you know. He took Ronaldo Ray had a club down in Compton in South Central, and it was open, and Mooney was headlining it. And, you know, that was, you know, straight gangster night. Like, it was popping.
Right.
And he brought me with him, and I'm literally the only white person probably within a 5 to 10 mile radius. I don't give a shit, you know.
Not a 5 to 10 mile radius.
It's like a 5 state line radius. The one, the white person until Arizona. Good night. You know. And But it was fun. So we rolled up and get out, and I'm like, I'm there with Mooney. You know, what do I don't care. And I'm like, oh, I get to meet Ronaldo Ray. Like, this is like old school shit. This is cool. This is like he always reminded me of like Cab Calloway, like that was that swag Ronaldo had,
Ronaldo,
and the suits.
Yeah, classic.
He was old school Hollywood, and I love that about him. And so we go in and we're sitting at Ronaldo's table because we're with Mooney, and Mooney was going up, and Mooney literally is on stage. Mooney will go on for 16 years. This man will go on, and decades will flip, and this man would still be on stage. And he stopped his set about a half hour, 20 to 30 minutes in, and he stopped. It was like my Star is Born moment. It was hilarious. Like, when Chris Christopherson brings out Esther Hoffman Howard, and, he brings her up on stage to sing a song during his show, and they're all booing her, and then she fucking crushes the house, and then he launches her career. And so he stops his set. He goes, I want to bring up an up-and-coming comic. She's great. You're gonna love her. She's white. Don't worry. And it brings me up, and I'm like, no, I'm here with you. I've only been doing comedy like 3 years, maybe. I'm still like, placenta still hanging off my face, like I just came out of the womb. Right. And I'm like, no, I'm too scared. It's packed. And then I was like, yeah, baby girl, go up. And I'm like, okay. So I go up, and it was like, and I really felt like Barbara Streisand taking the mic, and people like throwing shit at me, like, oh my God, what am I doing up here? And I did about probably 10 minutes, crushed that room. They were with me from start to finish. And it was like a high, like that was like my first, it was like 2 or 3 years in, somewhere in there. And that was like my first packed, couple 300 seat room as a young comic. And I was just like, wow, these clubs are amazing.
What was that club?
I can't remember. I just remember it was down in South Central, and we went, and it didn't last long. Right. And but it was popping. That place was popping.
So were you around in the era of this Phat Tuesday?
I was there in the beginning of the first show. Okay. When Guy Torrey started it up in the Belly Room. Okay, it was a like an experience, like, hey, they bring in comics that normally don't get in the mainstream clubs. We're going to bring the urban circuit. And Mitzi loved black comedy. She loved black comics. She loved it. She loved flavor. She loved wild. She loved creative. She liked different. That's why we were like the jazz club of the Strip. You get the improv with the stuffy corporate cruise ship guys. Like, what's with these people? I mean, what's with this airline food? I mean, And then Jamie Masada over at the Laugh Factory. And Laugh Factory was still pretty new at the time. And, he was just trying to get the young kids. And he got affiliated with the WB. That's how he started growing, with the Wayans brothers. As Mooney would call it, the WB, we be black with a little Negro frog, and UPN, you pick a Negro, any Negro you want, we got him on the network. He's the greatest thing that ever lived. And but yeah, so Phat Tuesday started, and all the white waitresses were scared. So me, Eleanor, and this other waitress, Lauren Peltz. Lauren's from Manhattan, she's this hardcore Jewish broad from Manhattan. She didn't give a fuck about nothing. Like, she was hardcore. She was so fucking funny. And Eleanor, she's from fucking Philly, South Philly. And then you got me from the Bay Area. We're like, let's fucking do this. Who cares? And we were the only ones that weren't scared to go up there, because they would literally shit on all the waitresses. And they were so... a little friend, they won't, I can't get the money for the drink from them. I don't understand. I'm like, they're people. Just say, you owe this fucking money, bitch, pay up. They're like, this is your tab, or whatever. Like, don't be scared of the people. Who cares? But it was so funny to watch waitresses get scared and run out of there crying. Oh, it was so fucking funny to me. Me and Eleanor would die laughing. So it caught on quick. Phat Tuesday would be packed upstairs so much. We were standing room only, so you can't get through with a tray of drinks. And and I used to I won them over because it's a 2-drink minimum. And people from the hood are like, fuck your 2-drink minimum. I'm sneaking my own bottle in. And I would tell them, look, you want to get around the 2-drink minimum? Order a soda, order a shot. There's your 2 drinks. I'm like, oh, word? And I'm like, yeah, just do it that way. I got you. So I became like, that's our girl. We love her, right? And Eleanor was the same way. Like, we took care of them. And then like even one night Tupac came in right before he was killed, and probably like a couple weeks or so, a month before he was killed, he was in there with his whole posse. That motherfucker bought everybody shot. We ran out of Cavassier, Hennessy, Remy. It was gone, you know, and he was buying for everybody. So he paid for everybody's drinks. He said, just bring me the tab. What a generous man he was. He was so incredible. And he tipped me really well. And he was just kind. He just wanted people to have a good time, you know. He was
iconic.
He was so sweet. He was so nice to me. And I was like, this man is an icon. This is Tupac, bro. And it was just like, and he was so sweet. It's like, I'm gonna get them. And because Phat Tuesday became this thing, and then it got so packed that Mitzi moved it to the main room. And so when it went to the main room, man, you'd see the line down Sunset Strip. People on Tuesday nights, I'm like, oh, the police force is putting on extra people on this hour because they ain't never seen so many black people in West Hollywood before.
Right.
And so, there's never any problems.
But I heard that was like one of the most profitable nights there.
That Phat Tuesday kept the lights on.
Right.
Because it was during the dark days of comedy when people weren't going out anymore. There was the writer's strike. It was this, it was that. And it was just like, you know, all these things were happening. And it was like comedy took a dive because it was around the time the internet was invented, you know, when Clinton was in office and they kept the internet, the information superhighway, and they had like little clips, and people had DVD players, so they're like, oh, we got DVD players, we can get the movie and everything. So a lot of people didn't go out, so we would beg people to come to the shows. Like we would go to the hotel concierge, just leave tickets, comedy store tickets, give these to your hotel guests, you know, just to get people in the doors, just to buy drinks, so we could still do our shows, because shows never really started at 8 o'clock like they're supposed to. They'd start when people showed up.
Right.
You know, do 9:15, 9:30, somewhere in there, sometimes 10 o'clock, and you know, and in those comics in the first 2 hours usually never got to get on stage. So then we would look for other avenues to perform. So Phat Tuesday comes and hits big, and that show kept those lights on, kept the bills paid. That saved Mitzi, and she was so forever grateful for it. She let them do it. And Guy Torrey is such a cool dude. And then he started blowing up more because him and his brother Joe were doing it. And then Joe was already doing movies, and then Guy left to do some movies. And then, or before that, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. When it was still in the belly room, a guy named Buddy, what was Buddy's last name? Oh God, he did Warm Up. The shows, tall brother, sweet, very like Christian and church, funny, just Buddy, what was your life? God, I'm like Alzheimer's, I swear to God, I'm fucking getting old. But he took it over for a while, and the vibe changed. It got really warm and positive, because after a while it kind of got really gang related, hood, and got a little scary and stuff. And then when Buddy took it over, the energy shifted, and then people started, oh wow, this is cool, you know, and Buddy was so positive. He always had my back, and the crowd treated me like, I would always say, I'll do Phat Tuesday, I'll work it, I don't care. And so it was really cool. And then it moved to the main room, and then Guy came back and hosted it, and other people would host as well, like Buddy and all them too. And it would just sell out, and the lines around the block, and the talent that came through there, and just, you know, I remember even when Leslie Jones started, she was still a waitress at Roscoe's, and she would go up and talk about how black people don't tip, and she hated all of them, and it was very funny. And like Cheryl Underwood would go up with a purse because she didn't trust none of these motherfuckers, and Kat and all these guys, and it wasn't Steve Harvey, it wasn't Cedric, it wasn't none of them cool. Those boys was at the Laugh Factory. Let's keep it real, let's keep it 100. I was there, I watched everything. And but yeah, Phat Tuesday was magical.
I think that's where Nick Cannon was discovered.
Yeah.
But so all of that good stuff was happening to you on the West Coast. Why did you come to New York?
Things started slowing down on the West Coast. It got really hard because I wouldn't play the game, and you know, I was affiliated with Mooney, and she must be hard to deal with. And I don't tell many people this, but I had an offer of a development deal. They said, you could be the next Kristen Johnson from Third Rock from the Sun. And I'm like, wow, that's what I want. I love the character acting. She's amazing. And they're like, well, what are you willing, long story short, what are you willing to do for it? And I'm like, I work hard. I write my jokes. I was like 28 years old. Like, do this and that? They're like, no, and they just laugh. And they're like, what are you willing to do for it? And like lick his lips. And I go, oh, suck your dick? I said, no, I'm funny. That's for the unfunny bitches that can't tell a joke. They sleep their way to the top. I'm funny as fuck. And you just saw me murder in that fucking room over all those people. So I'm good. And he looked at me, he goes, good luck to you. You'll never work in this town. And he was right. Things slowed down for me real quick. So all this shit about these, freak off. I remember Diddy's parties. Let's keep it 100. I remember those parties very well. And even to the point where my best friend went and her friend, and I was like, why are you going there? It was in Calabasas. I said, why are you going out there? Those parties are sickening. You don't belong there. And they went in anyway because it's Hollywood party. Let's be rude. They're 20s. We're going to a Hollywood party. Yay. And she walked in and she saw all these dudes sucking each other's off and they're like, oh, fuck this. And she ran out and got in the car and came back. I said, I told you, don't do it. He ain't shit. I go, those, because he called them white parties back then. Mm-hmm. And the white party, where I come from in West Hollywood, that's a gay party.
Okay.
The white party's in Palm Springs every year. It's the hugest gay party thrown besides Gay Pride in the ever. And people fly in from all over the world to Palm Springs and they celebrate the white party. It's about 4 days long. Mm-hmm. And it's super gay. And I was like, right. White parties? Did he a little girly, puffy or whatever he was called back then?
Right.
So I goes, he a little, sheesh. And like, we always wondered.
Right. But everybody, it seems like unfunny people and, funny people, that was the way to go to do.
That's how you do it. That's the shortcut.
That's the shortcut, right?
And it's a guarantee, like if I do this and I let them sell my soul to them, then like let them do whatever they want, then right. I will get what I want. Right. It's a big price to pay. So I was really down and out, and Mooney goes, honey, just come to New York. They love you here. So I just sold everything and left for New York in 2005. And I've been here ever since.
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep.
So I just, I came up under Paul. Paul was so opinionated and so in his feet and in his groove. He didn't give a shit what you thought of him. So I kind of have that, it rubbed off on me. Mm-hmm. He was my mentor, so I kind of tell people how I feel, and it's probably not a good idea.
I think I'm a little more guarded with what I say.
Yeah.
And a little bit more political with what I say, and I think it's because I don't want to hurt people's feelings. Mm-hmm. But that's not a good trait to have as a comic, because your point of view is your point of view, yeah. And whether people don't like it or not, that's on them. But you got to serve it straight, no chaser, and I tend to be a little bit more concerned about, I don't want to offend people, or I don't want to, that I should just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and this is my anecdote, because I don't worry about that, because if your intentions and where it's coming from, and you don't have malintentions for anybody, you're not trying to hurt anybody. Mm-hmm. So look at the shit I say on stage. I say some wild ass shit, and people just go right with it and laugh, because they know it's coming from love and silliness, and there's no malintent. I don't hate anybody. I talk shit. I make fun of people like that, I hate these people, but I really don't. I want everybody to win. My thing is, deep down inside, I want all of us to win. There's plenty of room at the table. Look at all these seats. Everybody could have a seat at the table. We can all eat. You can't eat all the food by yourself. There's plenty to go around for everybody. And if we all win, then we all thrive. And the positivity's there, then we grow, and it's beautiful, and nobody hurts. Because remember, happy people, they don't hurt people, hurt themselves, or commit any crimes, because they're busy being happy, doing what they love. Miserable people, angry people, lonely people start shit.
Right.
So, and if you're not coming from a bad place, it's not going to come off to the audience in a negative way. You know what I mean? And you're you don't think that. You're loving, and since I've known you, you're just delicious and lovely and sweet and caring and nurturing, and you just want everybody to win. And that's your point of view. That's where the intent comes from. So your point of view from that intent is going to translate, because that's really who you are, and you really commit to that feeling and that thing. So anything you say on stage, when you break balls like that, it's not going to come off angry and defensive and attacking,
Right.
Because you're not trying to hide anything. You're not trying to sugarcoat who you are or deceive people, or gaslight the audience.
Well, Joan Rivers didn't give a shit. And she would say, I succeeded because I said what everyone was thinking and what was, whatever. Like I have this Wendy Williams joke, and Jamie was like, you can't say that joke anymore because she's down and out and she's blah blah blah. And it's like,
fuck that bitch.
I'm not coming from a bad place with the joke. No. It's funny. You know what I mean?
Funny is funny, no matter what it is. And I've had audiences where I've had, autistic people in the audiences and stuff like that. Like one kid was really autistic and one was mildly autistic. These are two different times. And there's been, handicapped people or someone in a wheelchair. I fucking torture the shit out of them. You know what they do? They hug me and love me. They're like, thank you for treating me like I'm a normal human being. You didn't tiptoe. People like, oh, I don't want to fuck with that guy because I don't want to be, oh, that's scary. No, fuck with him. Make him feel like he's part of the crew. Roast his ass. Have fun with him. Don't alienate people because they're down and out or because they're like a handicap. It's just when you acknowledge it like that, it's almost like you see them. Like I see you, and I see the person you are, and I see the heart inside. I see the heart of a fucking bull inside of you fighting, and I see you. So I'm going to fuck with you because I want you to know I see you. And that's, if you ignore them or sugarcoat it, it's like, could you imagine going somewhere, everywhere you go, people walk, oh God, Nicky, and they talk to you like baby talk. Hi, Nicky, you look so cute. Oh my God, do you want anything? Like, you would be annoyed. Like, bitch, talk to me like I'm a human.
Right. And, now that we're having a discussion about this, I noticed something that happened in comedy probably right around like 2007, 2008, this era of, saying the political correctness.
Oh yeah, political correct was around 2000, 2001, because Joan Rivers was bitching about it, and then Bill Maher did his politically incorrect show.
It seemed like when I started, it wasn't quite as pronounced, and then later on it got that way. And I remember I did a show in the Village, and it was like the crowd, it was kind of like a Wall Street type of like corporate crowd.
Sure.
And I would tell my jokes and I would say some things and they would groan. And I didn't get that type of response before, but it was almost like they didn't want to laugh because it wasn't kosher to do so, or that's making fun of people in wheelchairs, or that's, that's making fun of Asian people, or that's, we can't say that in the office, so I can't laugh at it here. I noticed a shift, and it was right around like maybe 2010, 2008, like around that.
Because nobody, first of all, is held accountable for their actions, and no one's allowed to defend themselves either. Like, you know what I mean? Like, say someone attacks you, and you go to defend yourself, you're in the wrong, they can sue you. Like if someone hits you, let them hit you first, that whole thing. It's almost like that has seeped into words and people's triggered feelings and people being coddled and not allowed to like experience pain or discomfort or to fall down and skin their knee and then pick themselves back up by themselves without somebody protecting them. Like, oh, don't fall. It's so people have lost any kind of skin that they've had. Like any thick skin that people had is gone. Everybody wants to be triggered. Everybody wants to be held. Everybody wants to be told they're pretty. And they're so afraid of what other people think when they react to something. So when they're there as a collective group, oh, I can't laugh at this.
Right.
Oh, that's terrible. You shouldn't say that. But deep down, their ass is laughing their asses off. I'm sorry, bitch. But, keep it real. Let's keep it 100. Like, let's seriously, like, lighten the fuck up. And so it's just how to handle those things comes to the magic of you, to committing to the joke, committing to the premise, committing to the entire thing, and then taking their groans and riding them and then like having fun with them. But if you're having fun on stage, the crowd will have fun with you. I get groans a lot. I go, oh, what? Too soon? Fuck you people. And then they start laughing because I'm like, get over yourselves. And like lighten up. These are just jokes. And the fact that there's so many words that have changed, which is fine. You can change things. Things evolve. Because I remember when I was a kid, the word queer was really negative. It was a bad word in the 70s to call somebody a queer. And we had a game with kids in the streets. You remember Kick the Can and Hide and Seek and Freeze Tag? We had a game called Smear the Queer. And you'd pick the one guy out, he's the queer, and you just chase him and tackle him. That was the game. It's some white shit, some suburban shit.
Smear the queer, never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a West Coast thing.
Okay.
And but I remember because that word was such a negative word, we thought it was so funny that there was a game called Smear the Queer, and it was, now queer means different, and it's wild and acceptable, and it's one of the letters in the alphabet,
right?
And it's one of the main letters. So it's like, it used to be bad, now it's fine. And so like things change, which is great, but changing words itself, not from like the meanings of the words, I'm just using queer as an example, but changing a word like, say, from homeless to unhoused makes me so angry, because it's like, oh, you changed the word. Now you can sleep at night, Becky? Do you feel better about yourself?
But it's a lot of shit happening like that I don't understand.
Homeless people
like
don't
unalived.
Yeah.
She was unalived. What?
Yeah, because of the internet and all this.
Because of the internet.
Because of the words, they think it's, you're promoting death, or you're promoting, suicide or murder or whatever has to do with death. So they have to say unalived just to make it like a very neutral, beige reaction to things, and it's really annoying. And it's like, if you're grown up enough to understand what the context that people are talking about, we don't have to worry about this. And if it's something you don't like, then just don't listen to it. Keep moving. And it's just like, but changing it to unalived or unhoused, it doesn't change the fact that that person's still homeless. That person is still on the streets. Just because you changed the word, you could feel better about yourself on your little soapbox, but meanwhile, this man is still fucked up. You didn't do nothing to help him. You just did it to help your conscience. So you could sleep at night. But what how he's sleeping at night? Why don't you trade places? Why don't you unhouse this motherfucker and see how you feel about it? Oh, he should be homeless. It's terrible. Shut up. Like, do something. Stop changing words and actually be proactive in your community and do something about it. We wouldn't have all these problems if we actually just took accountability for what's happening. Like, okay, this is going on. We've let it go too far. We fucked up. Now take that responsibility for owning it. And now let's be proactive to prevent it from happening again. But it's too hard for people.
I see.
And on the next Oprah Winfrey, we will be.
we're delving into politics,
right? This is terrible, but I usually stay away from it because I want people to have a good time. Because comedy's comedy.
Yeah, but this is some interesting insight, because it's like, you are who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's your style.
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah.
And you are going to be you no matter who the audience is in front of you. And either people hate it or love it.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah, and I always tell comics too, don't look for an audience. Don't search for your people. Just be who you are unapologetically. Be good at what you do. Your audience will find you. And I've always done that. And my audience has always felt like all my fans that I have, all 6 of them, they are diehard Christy Miller fans, because they're with me through thick and thin. Because it wasn't me going viral and then they just happen to like you because you went viral. These people are like, you're really great. How come you're not famous? How come you're not on TV? I go, because, it's just, it is what it is. I played the game wrong. I took the long route. Waze detoured me off the main highway because there was an accident. So I had to go around, and now I'm sitting in the village, like having a good time.
You were supposed to open up that coochie back in 95,
98. Yeah. Now that I'm 53. All right, who wants this? Come on. Come on.
If I could turn back time.
If I could find a way. Yeah, it's Memorial Day weekend too. It's Fleet Week. You know what's sad? I'm looking around at all these sailors. I'm bigger than the military. What the fuck is wrong with this fucking military? They're all fucking tiny.
I haven't seen any of the soldiers. Where are they?
In Times Square.
Oh, okay.
Because I live in Times Square. So it's like, I walk out, I said, I'm going to go out with my Cher wig on and start singing. But all these kids are like 4, and they probably don't even know who Cher is. They probably never heard the song.
Right.
And it's like, but I'm looking around, I'm like, bitch, I'm now bigger than you. What the fuck? You're defending me, bitch. You're going to have to hold my purse while I fight for you instead of me holding your purse, bitch. Because It is not cute out there right now. Would you send all the weak ones to New York on Fleet Week, or the real big ones out saving us and defending us?
The real big ones are in the NFL getting a big check. Maybe that's what it is. How you doing, big check?
That's right, big check. I'm obsessed with baseball players because they got big asses and big forearms
and big checks. I think baseball players are probably the most
paid.
Yeah, and sports.
Yeah, so there's like, with the Yankees, you got the new kid Juan Soto, and you got Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton as the fucking
I love
power
Aaron
three.
Judge.
Oh, they could all three get it. I'll just crawl right into the bitch. You can hit a long ball down this fucking.
Throw that ass to the circle. What? Throw that ass to the circle. Yeah.
Like, they could all get it. I'm like, you like old pussy? Come on, let's do this.
Speaking of old pussy, whatever happened to Sandy? Remember that lady, the naked cowgirl who would be naked in Times Square?
I haven't seen her.
What happened to her? I wonder if she passed away.
Who knows? Maybe COVID.
Maybe COVID. Yeah.
You know that naked cowboy is a big Trumper. He's a huge, crazy conspiracy theorist.
Is he still out there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's sad.
Well,
he makes money.
He makes money doing it, and she did too. Sandy used to be here quite a bit.
Yeah.
Here at Broadway, and she would be at M&M.
Yep.
Yeah, doing her thing. I wonder whatever happened to her. I have to put that out on the internet. See what was her last name? Sandy Kane.
Sandy Kane.
Sandy Kane.
I love that you know her first and last name. I don't know who the ugly naked bitch is.
Oh, you don't know her?
You need to do a sit-up or something, bitch. You should not be naked, honey.
Right.
Them titties are dragging on the ground, bitch. You need to pick them up. You need to put the guitar underneath them and help a little suspender or something. You need some scaffolding, honey. You should not be naked, girl.
Yeah.
That's not cute.
She was outrageous. Sandy Kane. I'll have to ask somebody about her.
Yeah. I love that you know her.
Yeah, I know him.
But you, because we're getting ready to wrap up, but I want to talk about I want to talk about your club, Comedy in Harlem.
Yes,
I want people to know about this. I want people to go when they come to New York. So tell us about Comedy in Harlem, how it started, how it's going.
Okay, so it was kind of organic start. It wasn't anything intentional. Jamie was doing shows at the National Black Theater on 125th and 5th.
Yes.
With a guy that was from East Harlem. And so they shut the theater down, and they kind of had developed like a little bit of a following. And those shows were fun as shit. Those were great shows, great comics, such a great vibe. They used to sell these nutcrackers, and people would get messed up. Like, it was so much fun. So then after that, and I guess it was after COVID, they were looking maybe to do some shows again, and Jamie knew a guy that owned a restaurant, and the guy was like, hey, why don't you do the show here? So they did the show there, and it wasn't quite the right space. And he was like, there's a space upstairs. Maybe I can, ask the landlord, maybe if you can do a show up there. And so we did a show, and then just kept doing shows, and that's how we started on the East Side. And it was really a weird space. Then you had to walk through an alley and go upstairs, and it was just really a big empty rectangle. But Jamie, I have to give it to Jamie. He was the one that pieced that club together. He found, here's a free bar on Craigslist. So-and-so. I think he got tables and chairs from Comic Strip.
Good for them.
Yeah, just like, people were giving away stuff, and we literally pieced the club together, and it was just such a good vibe, and it was a good space, and it was, the DJ was there.
Yeah, it was so
and
fun.
People it didn't feel like a commercial space. It didn't feel like a regular comedy show that you would go to in New York.
You know what it felt like? Going to a family's house.
But see, that's what I always say.
I would walk in, I feel like I'm like, the
at
cookout's
somebody's,
about to happen.
At somebody's family reunion.
We're having a good time. We all love and know each other. We're all sitting together in the living room, like it's a big palatial living room, and then we're all like, let's have a show go on. Like it had that whole family vibe too. It was really great.
Right. Definitely. A lot of people have said that, and I've thought that. And that's something just really special, and we created kind of like a community up there.
So what happened to the space?
So what happened was the Department of Buildings, they issued a certificate of occupancy, and then there was a Karen in the neighborhood. It's always a Karen that sabotaged. I'll get you kids. You're not going to have a block party and have fun on my watch. I guess she was an architect, or I don't know what her affiliation was, why she cared, but I believe she lived on top of the restaurant, and she hated the restaurant. She hated the clientele of the restaurant, so she hated us. And so initially she
should move.
Well, how about that? How about that? But there were a couple of incidences that happened because I guess it was a pop-in place. And then the restaurant, there was a club there on the corner.
Yes.
And I believe there was an incident where somebody got stabbed or something on the corner.
Sure.
So for a little while, it was kind of like, ooh, there's kind of weird stuff happens over there. And some people were like, oh, you guys, you're part of that. And it was like, well, no, we're not necessarily a part of them. We're just on top of them. Space. Right. Yeah. So I don't know if it was born from her hate for the activity that was there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it was just like, oh, here comes some more of them type of thing. So she started to complain to 311 about the noise. And then she was like, oh, they don't have this permit. They don't have that permit. When we actually did have a certificate. What happened was, and this is when we learned, this is after we signed our lease and everything, that the city, they had issued us the certificate and they said first floor. Now, I didn't think anything of it because Con Edison calls us the first floor and they call the restaurant the ground floor.
Right, that's usually what it is. If you go to an apartment building, you walk in the ground floor like in a lobby.
Right.
And then the first floor is right above.
Right. So we didn't think anything of it.
Sure.
When the inspector came, because she called them, they were like, oh no, this isn't, you're going to get fined because this is illegal. And we were like, what? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You guys issued us the certificate. So when I went down to Department of Buildings and talked to the commissioner himself, they were like, this, it's illegal to have a eating and drinking establishment on the second floor. And we were like, oh, well, we didn't know that and you didn't tell us that. And they were like, yeah, unless you're going to install an elevator or some type of flat or a lift, you can't do it. And so we went to the landlord, we explained to the landlord kind of brushed it off. Okay, don't worry about it. I have an expediter or, somebody that knows the ins and outs of down there. And he just never did anything about it. And so we knew that the time was ticking in that space. And we had started looking for other spaces.
Good.
But then this woman, she just escalated and was relentless in, her complaints to 311. Maybe she thought she was protecting people, like it was a danger or a nuisance.
No,
I don't know.
She was doing it out of her own selfish desires.
I promise you, we were never, like, we played music and stuff in our space, but there was never any riffraff on the street. If anything, the people next door who have been there for 11 years at the barbershop, they made more noise than we did.
Yeah.
But our patrons would come and they would, they would pretty much leave after the show.
Yeah, no one hung out.
So no, there was no loitering and stuff like that. So, but at any rate, she continued to call 311, and then it got really bad when she escalated the phone calls, or her complaints were escalated to the Department of like Emergency Services or something. So we had, at one point, we weren't there. It was the middle of the day, and it was like a pop-up, like, we need access to your space. We're the emergency response team. That was what it was. And it was like, oh, the emergency response. What are you guys, like, what's the emergency? And so at that point, we made the decision, you know what, we're just going to shut down. We had shows on the books. We had Flex Alexander was coming to perform. I had a Mother's Day show in the books, and it was just like, you know what? I don't want any problems. I don't want us to get fined or get a bad reputation. We're just going to shut down completely. And that's what we did.
You know what? Smart move. Because you know what? When one door closes, a beautiful gate opens. And your new location, I'm going to tell you, is going to be fire. Because A, it's close to the train. So my fat ass don't have to walk 68 blocks.
Right.
And get winded. Hilarious.
Right. So,
and it's easy to get to.
Yeah.
And it looks cute. I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
Jamie posted. And it's It's going to be fire. I can't wait. So tell everybody where it's located
Yes.
now.
So we moved to we moved to Sugar Hill, and that is on St. Nicholas Avenue on 147th Street. And it's right by the A train. As soon as you come up on I guess it's the 147th exit, you come up and the club is right there. So we're literally 3 stops from Times Square.
So great.
So we're really excited. The neighborhood is excited. The neighborhood seems like they've been waiting for something like this, because where we are now, people keep saying, oh my gosh, there used to be a jazz club and there used to be this and that. So it was actually, they're like starved for something cultural in that neighborhood.
I remember because we used to skate when I played roller derby, and we used to skate. So when we lost the skate key in the South Bronx, we would use all the colleges, their auditoriums or whatever, their gymnasiums. So one of the places was CCNY. And I remember like going up there, I'm like, so beautiful up here. There's nothing here, and the houses are to die for.
Yeah,
like, I love that area.
It's definitely that, because I used to live right up the hill, because I lived near Riverbank State Park, on 146th Street. 146th Street between Broadway and Riverside for like 10 years, and I loved my neighborhood. I was like a block away from the 1 train. It was very diverse, a mix. You got Mexicans, you got blacks, you have whites, and it just felt good when you would go on the street. The East Side is a little different, a little grimier. Just a little bit like far away, like. Because we were in kind of like a commercial pocket, there wasn't much engagement with the community per se.
No, it was really off the beaten path, and you really had to go to Comedy in Harlem, the old location. You really had to go.
No, like
that was your intent, was to go there.
You had to know that it was there. Yeah. With this, we're like right in the middle of people's residential neighborhoods. Like, oh, this is here. I live right up the block, or I blah blah blah.
That's signage and visual, like visually being able to people to see you, and your signage is more important than anything. When it comes to marketing, it's like you have to have signage.
Definitely.
You have to be visible to the public.
Be visible, yes.
And then people start talking. Oh, did you see a comedy club just opened up? This is great. And then they start telling people, and it just spreads. And it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited for you guys.
Thank you. And we're really excited because it's more than just a comedy club. We have a patio that can sit like 50 people. So when we're not doing shows, we can, serve food and drinks on the patio, and just, it's a vibe. We also have a digital radio station. It's called 108 Soul.
Yes, you do.
So we play, classic hip hop and R&B. So hopefully we can do some day parties and have some DJs and stuff like that. So it's a lot that we can do and a lot we can bring to that area.
It's going to be beautiful. So check them out, Comedy in Harlem on 147th and St. Nicholas.
Yes.
Nicky Sunshine, I love you so much.
Love you,
I'm so
Christy.
happy that I've gotten to know you all these years, and I'm just honored that I'm your friend.
Yes, you are my friend.
I love you very much. So I like to wrap up the show with 2 silly questions.
Okay.
This is for everybody gets it. So the first question is there a bit a comic has done that made you go, God damn, that was brilliant. I wish I'd written that first. And what was it?
Okay, so some more from Trenton, New Jersey. Queen Samore is like one of my favorite comics.
I wanted to open for her so bad. I was like, bitch, let me open for you, please, bitch.
She's amazing. But that bit that she has about wishing, because I don't really have a big butt. And she was, she said that she wished she had a big butt. Mm-hmm. And if she had a big butt, she wanted a big ass, and she wants an ass that would knock drinks off of tables, and you could sit and drink on the ass, and just her physicality, and she would be walking through the clubs and stuff. I mean, that's such an iconic bit. I'm like, oh man, I wish I came up with that.
Yeah,
I wish I could.
So funny.
It's really,
she's
really
so
good.
iconic anyway.
Yes.
And,
yes.
Yeah, I love that bit is so fucking hilarious. And my other favorite thing was that she talked about when President Obama would get off Air Force One, he'd just be like, like she'd imitate him coming out. And then Michelle just shaking her head. I'm dying. Like, I used to kill me every time. She's a legend. Mm-hmm. And the last question is, because Paul Mooney used to close, as this was his closers, were street jokes, but he would Mooney-ize them. And we're comics. We always love a good street joke anyway. We always try to crack each other up because they're silly. And everybody loves funny, stupid jokes. So do you have a go-to street joke you like?
I actually used to pass out flyers in Times Square for the world. Do you remember Aaron Haber? He used to have the show upstairs, and in order to get stage time, I would have to go out to Times Square. And so I would be interacting with people all the time, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're a comic?" They didn't believe I was a comic. They were like, "Well, tell me a joke." And I would be like, "Do you have any quarters? Because I strip for change." And I would turn around and bend over, and I'd be like, "Put it in the slot. Put it in the slot. Put it in the slot." And for years, whenever somebody was like, "Oh, do you have a joke?" Or I'll be on the street, that's what I would say.
That's hilarious. Mm-hmm. I fucking love you.
Yeah.
All right, my love. Tell everybody where they can find you on the socials and when the grand opening is and any shows you have.
Okay, Nicky, Nicky Sunshine on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and you can go to the club, comedienharlem.com, and see the shows that we have coming up on this Friday, the 31st. That'll be our opening. It's not necessarily a grand opening. It's not like any red carpets or anything like that. We're just reopening. So we have shows that whole weekend. So the Friday show sold out already. Saturday show sold out. So Sunday and Monday we have shows. On Monday it's Smokey Suarez and Freddie Ricks. That's gonna be a great show.
That's gonna be a fun show. Yeah. That's gonna be hilarious. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Yeah, and then Sunday Night Live. So we kept going from all the way New York Comedy Club to Midtown to Uptown. We're still doing it. So Sunday at 7, and that's where we are.
That's amazing.
Comedy in Harlem.
Love it. And you can also follow us on Instagram here at Old Skool New Skool Comedy, and you can follow me on all the socials at Christy Miller Comedy. And we're here every Monday at noon. And don't forget to actually like the show, subscribe, leave a comment, and most important, share the show. We love you. See you next week.
Share the show.